Hi everyone, my name is Jamie and I'm a second year emergency medicine resident. Today I want to talk to you guys about something that we all suffer from, procrastination. Have you guys ever been in a situation where you're about to start an important task, like studying for an exam, and right when you're about to start, you start to think about all the other things that you'd rather be doing, like cleaning your apartment, organizing your kitchen. I remember in undergrad and high school, my place would be the cleanest right before an exam season. Procrastination is just running away from our responsibilities. And I would argue that it's a perfectly normal response. Under stressful situations, we're hardwired to either fight or flight. Unfortunately, no matter how much we run, we eventually have to face the work that we're running away from. So let's talk about some tips on how we can fight procrastination and be as productive as we can be. Tip number 1, figuring out why you're procrastinating. Maybe you have too many things to do. Sometimes we run away from our responsibilities just because there are just too many things to do. Somehow all the deadlines are bunched together, like all the exams and the essays we have to write are all due around the same time. So in the end, we just end up feeling overwhelmed. And we get stuck at feeling overwhelmed without properly dealing with all the stuff that we have to do. So my advice is breathe and just start. Acknowledge that you have a lot of stuff to do and come up with a plan of attack. You can either start with what's due first or what's worth the most. So that's my first tip. Breathe and just start. Tip number 2, figuring out why you're procrastinating, part 2. Maybe you don't know how to start. Sometimes we run away because the task is huge and we don't know how to start. For example, if maybe you want to learn a new language or start preparing for an entrance exam like MCAT or SATs, one way to get around this is by breaking big goals into smaller manageable tasks. For example, you guys know that I'm currently preparing for my board exam step 3, and studying for a big test like that can be really overwhelming. I try to choose a small number of resources. So I usually choose a question set like UWorld and a reference like a textbook or a set of study materials. I then decide how many questions I want to do each week and how much of the reference material I want to cover each week. That way, I know exactly what I have to do each day and I don't have to waste time trying to figure out what to do. One of the benefits of having smaller tasks is that it's quantifiable. As you check them off, it feels good and you get a sense of accomplishment. And on the flip side, if you don't have a list of smaller things to do, it feels like you're just wandering around aimlessly. And as a result, it's easier to get distracted. If you're working on a passion project like learning a new language, launching a YouTube channel, or starting a blog, setting a deadline can really help with your consistency. For example, for this YouTube channel, I upload every weekend at noon, and I've been doing that for about 3 years. And having a deadline gives me a time limit on how much I can spend per video. More often than not, it's better to be done than perfect. Tip number 3, prevent your mind from wandering. Phones are incredibly useful. If I get lost, I can get directions in an instant. If I get hungry, I can order food right away. I can shop, read, stay in touch with friends easily. And if I'm curious about something, I can look up the answers really quickly. And if you're bored, you can endless scroll through Instagram or Twitter. While phones can be very useful, they can be really distracting. My tip for when you're finally sitting down to do work is to turn off notifications and alerts. You can turn on Do Not Disturb on your phone. Or even better, you can leave your phone in a different room or at home if you're studying at the library. If you can't leave your phone because of your job or for personal reasons, you can set it so that only certain people can reach you while you're on Do Not Disturb mode. Keeping my phone far away from me is something I did for step 1 and step 2 studying, and it really helped a lot. You'd be surprised at how many times you instinctively look for your phone to distract yourself from something that you're supposed to be doing. Another way you can prevent your mind from wandering is getting in the right mindset. Something that works for me is having a consistent study workspace. For example, I do most of my studying on this desk when I'm home, and when I study at the library, I usually have a favorite desk or an area I like to study in. By minimizing having to adjust to a new environment, I can focus better and get more work done. Tip number 4, one thing at a time. My last tip is to focus on one task at a time. It's totally okay to have different projects going on at the same time, but while you're working, you should focus on a single task. It's easy to lose interest halfway through and jump into another task, but then you end up with tasks that are not finished. Something that really helps me with this is using the Pomodoro technique. The idea is simple. The Pomodoro technique introduces a sense of urgency. So rather than feeling like you have unlimited time, you're given 25 minutes to make as much progress on a task as possible. I have a Study With Me channel that revolves around the Pomodoro technique. So if you're looking for someone to work with to help you get started, you can click over here and check it out. So those are the tips that I have for dealing with procrastination. Let me know what you guys think, and let me know in the comment section what other ways that you guys deal with procrastination. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not already following me, you can do so on Instagram and Twitter at TheStriveToFit. And if you want to watch more videos, you can click over this way. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so by going to TheStriveToFit.com for some merchandise. Thanks again, and see you guys in the next video. Bye!